Thanks for joining. My name is Amit Sinha. I'm a Director of Product Management at Veritas, and I'm going to talk about CloudPoint. I also have Ryan with me, who is the architect on CloudPoint, and he's going to get into some of the technical details on CloudPoint. CloudPoint is a relatively new product. We launched 1.0 in last summer, and this January of 2018, we've launched the 2.0 version of this product. So let's dive in. What is CloudPoint? So CloudPoint is a cloud-native data protection solution which protects workloads running in cloud as well as in data centers. It manages and orchestrates snapshots. What we do with CloudPoint is that we leverage the capability of the platform, whether it's storage array doing snapshots or the cloud vendors providing the snapshot ability. Now, as you know, typically the cloud vendors, the snapshot ability that they provide is crash consistent. What we do is with CloudPoint is we provide the data protection features on top of the snapshot capabilities of the cloud or the storage array. We provide the control, the visibility that's needed for enterprise data protection, for enterprise products. We also do integration with net backup, so that from the net backup users, they would be able to use the same functionality from net backup management console. For on-prem storage array snapshot, we would also be able to move the snapshot into net backup as backups. One of the cool things that we do with this product is data classification. And this data classification is based on a policy. Based on the policy, customers would be able to identify which snapshot has, for example, SSN or date of birth. And this is completely based on the policy that one can figure out if snapshot has some PII information, which is personally identifiable information. And what the user is able to do with that is able to identify which snapshots have PII and then be able to remove those snapshots if they want to. They could also, going forward, redact those information from the snapshots, something we are working on. This is built totally from ground up, and it has a microservices-based architecture, which means that it's very, very lightweight solution, which is very important in a cloud environment, as you know, because we don't want to consume a lot of resources. So with this solution, what users get is a data protection solution which is agentless, which does not require additional servers, media servers or anything like that. It provides a very low TCO, resource-efficient solution for data protection. With Snapshot, you get low RPO, low RTO. And it provides centralized visibility across multiple platforms. Today, we support AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. We have, it's available in Azure Marketplace and Google Marketplace today, and we would be in AWS Marketplace as well. So as you can see from the picture here, we take these hosts, applications, volumes in the cloud, and with snapshot capability of the cloud and with all the controls that we provide, things like retention, management, and so on, we are putting the backups or the snapshots in the object store using the APIs from the cloud vendors. Let's look at how this thing works and what are the supported workloads here, what are the features that we support. We provide role-based access control, which means that an admin can create users and assign them specific access control. The users would be able to access and see and manage the assets that are assigned to them. We also provide a centralized management dashboard. This is something which is very exciting for a lot of our customers today, which is, they're able to see assets, not just in one cloud, but multiple clouds from the same management console.
So just to clarify on that, so if I'm choosing AWS as my point where I want to have CloudPoint, I can then use it to back up things that might be in Google or Azure?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can deploy CloudPoint in any of those clouds and manage assets in other clouds and protect assets in other clouds.
Do I have to bring that data to that central cloud, or can I just manage it from there and leave the data in the cloud system so I'm not starting to incur the ingress egress charges?
Yeah, you would not be bringing data.
Okay.
The data stays in that cloud. You're orchestrating the snapshots and protecting the snapshots.
So this is a virtual appliance that sits alongside your other instances in the cloud?
Yeah, so this can be a virtual appliance. This is also available as a container, a Docker container that can be deployed in Linux.
So it's not sold as a service, it's sold as an appliance which you set up and configure?
That is correct. Yes.
Right.
So does that mean that you're effectively running media servers in the non-primary cloud platform, effectively? Because you've got to have a data mover somehow to do the movement of the data to the target object store or wherever you're storing it.
So what we do is we don't have separate media server. We just have this one particular server where CloudPoint is deployed. And what we do is we leverage the APIs that are available from the platform. So we let the platform actually take the snapshots for us, and we collect all the metadata and put it in our database. So we don't need a separate media server.
Okay, so if you're taking a snapshot, say you're running in this in AWS, and you're taking a snapshot of an instance running in GCP.
Right.
The snapshot is the backup. You're not moving the data to an object store on that same platform?
Right, so the Google itself moves the snapshots into an object store.
Right, so you're just relying on the snapshot, long-term retention of the snapshots as the backup method?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Does that mean you're also managing frequency and retention and other aspects of the backups in these various clouds?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So in theory, you don't even need to deploy the CloudPoint instance in any of these clouds.
Yeah.
Because it's just making API
It's just
calls.
API calls. Yeah, that's why I was asking
So
if there was a
run it
media
as
server.
container on my laptop.
Yeah.
You could, absolutely you could. Yes, so you can actually deploy it on-prem and you can do all these things in the cloud. But there are certain features which need you to be in that particular cloud. So for example, I was talking about classification. We need to actually mount the snapshot and index it so that we can figure out the personally identifiable information. For that, you need to be in the cloud where you are taking snapshots.
Right.
You're mounting it as a block volume.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these snapshots would be VSS aware? They would be
App
consistent?
Yes.
Right. So are you installing something into the guest operating system to do that then?
So we have two modes. I mean, the preferred mode, which most customers want, is agentless. You don't want agents to be manually deployed.
So you're just making API calls?
Yeah, so what we do is we collect some access information, and then we do SSH, and we acquire the application, and then we take snapshots.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So and I think you're going to get to this on metadata. Where's the metadata overall stored? Especially if I want a centralized view of all three environments. Where's that metadata?
So we've got a MongoDB database. This is something which Ryan can explain more. That database is where we keep the metadata. So that's in the same machine where the CloudPoint is running.
So because you have to mount the volume to index it, doesn't that limit you to one cloud in particular?
Yeah, if you want the classification feature and if you
Okay.
want the granular recovery feature. So those are the two features for which you need to be on the local cloud. But if you are just taking app consistent snapshots, you can be even outside the cloud, like the gentleman here was saying.
Right, but if I want to like stage this up as we go to GDPR stuff,
Right.
I would have to pick my CloudPoint server and put it in one cloud, and then all my backups should be to that cloud.
Right. So
Or if I want to get PII indexing.
yeah, so at this point, you will have to be in that cloud, but we are looking at some architecture where we can sort of have this distributed kind of a deployment going forward, where you can, sort of don't have to be in each cloud separately, but you can still orchestrate it from a single pane of glass. Okay. So what happens is that we are able to, in this product, and when Ryan gives a demo, you would be able to see this, is that you're able to configure multiple accounts. So you can give your Azure account, AWS account, and even within that particular cloud, you can have multiple accounts and access information that you can give to CloudPoint. And what CloudPoint does is it discovers the assets that it can based on the permissions out there, and then it shows that in the CloudPoint. And we've got some default policies, but the policies are customizable. The new policies can be defined, and those can be applied to assets across these clouds. So the same policy can be applied, gold policy can be applied to some assets in Azure, some assets in Google, because you're as an admin, you're controlling these multiple environments, and you just want to protect it based on your company's policy rather than a specific cloud-based policy. And all these information goes to metadata database that I was talking about, which can be searched across, again, all these platforms.
If you're hitting the API for these solutions to use the native snapshots and the native toolings for that makes sense for an EBS volume or for maybe RDS. But how does that work if you're backing up something like Mongo or Oracle or SQL, the other solutions here, where you've got application-specific workloads that aren't necessarily an API call within AWS?
Correct. So again, Ryan can speak more to this. What I believe we are doing is we go and acquire these databases, and then we take volume level snapshots.
Okay. So I'm running MongoDB in an EC2 instance. You're quiescing that.
Right.
So you're putting an agent or something in there? Or?
We are doing SSH. So we are doing SSH connection, and then we are inserting some code, we are executing something, and then we get out of there.
So
This is similar to the question I asked earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the secret sauce here in a way is coordinating those two things together,
Absolutely.
which you could do on your own, but yeah, and then managing that across an estate and putting all these features on top of it as well.
Yes.
Okay.
That works fine for a situation where there is an instance and the customer's got visibility of that instance.
Right.
But what happens when it's a pure as a service where you don't get any visibility of an instance at all?
Are you talking about like auto scaling kind of things in the cloud, like when the new assets?
Even like database as a service where you merely say, I want a database, and you have no instance to
Right.
connect to.
Right. So if you look at some of the supported workloads here, we also have AWS's RDS and Aurora. So out there, what we are doing is we are actually using the API from AWS because it's already available to do some kind of acquisition and snapshotting. So when we do want to expand actually to multiple data sources in these clouds, and if the APIs are available to do certain things, we would just go and leverage it rather than, so in those cases, I'm assuming.
So there is a way of doing it.
Yeah, platform
I didn't
has
know that.
APIs.
I didn't know that. I assumed that you needed to have an instance in order to do that level of introspection to
So they have
operate.
AWS now have their own
have
backup
API.
solution and things for that, and you're leveraging
Right.
that.
So we're bringing it
I guess
to
you
the
can
fold.
speak to
Is all
the
of this
API for
available at the moment?
MongoDB
So if I wanted to
directly
go and get CloudPoint,
and say,
this
do
is-
this
okay.
action for me.
Yeah, you can actually try it out at this moment.
So, go ahead.
Excuse me, I have a question. Can we consider to use this service as a migration product?
Are you thinking about migration from one cloud to another or
Yeah.
cloud to on-prem? Yeah, so at this point, we have this feature for replication. We are basically orchestrating replication within multiple regions or multiple AZs of a cloud. We have some requests from some customers about, exactly what you're asking, which is cloud to cloud. Something we are definitely looking at in the future.
Okay.
I notice you're using a virtual appliance, but you have physical appliances that you can have on premises. Have you had conversations with the likes of AWS about having those inside AWS data centers and providing that as a service rather than using a virtual appliance to do it? I know that's futures and might be a bit sensitive
so
to ask.
we haven't actually had those specific conversation, but yeah, it's
Would there be any-
something that we've thought about. Yes.
Would there be any advantage to doing that?
I mean,
Can you see an
yeah, so
advantage?
right, if I can see that, if it becomes like a service that comes from the platform, there would be higher adoption, so there would be some interest in doing that, but of course, there is a lot of work that needs to happen for that to be executed.
So will you be touching, Amit, on how the integration with NetBackup works, so that we can see how the data that might be there is shared with other environments?
So I don't have slides, actually. I just had 2 slides because we wanted to show
Fine,
you a
no
live
worries.
demo.
Okay.
Oh.
But I can...
No, go to the demo. Do a demo.
Yeah, yeah,
Demo's
cool.
great.
Just so I can clarify on this, so the metadata piece is, so for each of the different cloud offerings, you're supporting the metadata within that offering, or are you bringing it back to wherever the management is?
We bring it back to wherever the management.
So the metadata comes back, so it is centralized?
Correct.
Okay,
Maybe we should let the gentleman carry on because he's obviously piqued our interest.
yeah.
And if we
It's
let
demo
him,
time, isn't it?
yeah, if we let him carry on, it'll give us more
Demos are good.
information.
I don't have
pique
too
more
many
interest.
slides, though. Okay, so in terms of the supported workload, you can see some of these workloads here: Oracle, SQL, AWS, Mongo, also the file systems. We're going to add more workloads as we go forward. We want to support not just traditional workloads, but some of the things like DynamoDB, for example. We know that a lot of customers are using it and they're asking for it. In fact, we have customers asking to protect S3 data as well when they create these born in the cloud applications which write primary data to S3. They want to get the point-in-time snapshots or point-in-time copies for those data. So there's a lot of potential out here to support different types of data sources, applications in the cloud itself. But these are the ones that we have now because we feel those are the major, some of the important ones. This whole CloudPoint GUI is based on REST API, which are also available to the customers. So all the functionality that we expose through our UI is available through REST API. We have, retention management is one feature that I do want to call out. A lot of customers like it because what happens is that many of the admins, they're struggling with shadow IT, where there are these developers who go and create snapshots, and every snapshot that you leave in the cloud, you continuously pay for it on a monthly basis. So people want control around it. They want to make sure that they can put some policies on it and control how many copies of the snapshots stay there and how much data it's consuming is controlled by the IT admin. So it's one of the very, very important ones besides the multi-cloud visibility, which is again something which a lot of customers really like. So actually, that's all I had before going to Ryan. Any other questions?
I think we should demo.
Are we going to see the
would be
integration? Is
great.
Ryan going to show integration with NetBackup?
So I don't know. I don't think he's going to show NetBackup integration. So I can talk a little bit about NetBackup integration. What we are doing is that we have these APIs that I was talking about, which are exposed to the customers. We are using the same APIs so that from the NetBackup management console, you can pretty much do everything that we are doing through CloudPoint standalone GUI. Okay, so that's one part of it. The second part of it is we are also managing the snapshots of the storage arrays on-prem, and we support 5 storage arrays today. When we take snapshots and we manage and orchestrate these snapshots, we also want to move those snapshots into NetBackup as backup. So that's another piece or an important piece of the NetBackup integration, because for the cloud, when we take snapshot, we move it gets moved to the object store, which is in a different AZ availability zone or a different region, so it's automatically protected, and you can also replicate it to another region for further further protection. But on-prem, when we take a snapshot on the storage array, we need to move it to a secondary storage, and that's where NetBackup comes in to help with that. Does that help?
And that's available to that's
not available today, but it's coming soon.
Okay.
So just
Yeah.
to unpack that a little bit, just before, just quickly, if you're planning to put things into NetBackup, but this service is using all the native snapshots.
Correct.
The idea is, I presume you'd have something that would mount those snapshots,
Correct.
pull that data out,
Correct.
and then send it into NetBackup in a native format. So if it's a RDS SQL backup, you're going to mount that, or Mongo. Yeah, I guess I can see how that can work. There's a lot of, yeah.
We won't be doing it for the cloud workloads because we don't see the need to move the cloud backup again into net backup. But when it comes to a storage array on-prem where we are taking snapshots, this is a primary storage. We take snapshots through CloudPoint and we can manage it. Now we want to move it into a secondary storage. So for that particular use case, we want to mount that snapshot and copy it into net backup.
So CloudPoint would be managing on-prem backups as well.
It would, and today you can actually see your storage snapshots in CloudPoint as well. Not just the cloud snapshots, but also the storage snapshots.
So it would manage, a net backup would just become a sort of dumb environment you'd move to using CloudPoint to manage that going forward. Will
Yeah.
you manage the two?
I mean, net backup supports a lot of different workloads, for example, right? So we are not going to support all those workloads on-prem. What we are doing with CloudPoint is to enable snapshot-based data protection in net backup or expand that. So, and that's going to be per array because we have to support one array and then the second array, and there are so many versions of the different arrays.
Okay. So I'd have to jump between the two products then, between net backup for everything else, and then if I want to do snapshot-based, array-based backups, I'm going to have to go into CloudPoint to do that.
You don't have to jump because the net backup management console will be able to do everything that the CloudPoint UI does.
So I can do,
Yeah.
I can do the same net backup, would just call CloudPoint to
Point.
do the activity on
Exactly.
my behalf.
Exactly. And from net backup console, you'd also be able to see all your cloud snapshots and everything.